know what's really funny about solo casting is that you actually, the biggest difference in how much you talk is before the game. Because in the game, if you're, well, I guess if you're an analyst slash like color caster, if you have to solo cast, the play-by-play part can be the biggest difference. But for people who do a lot of play-by-play, the biggest difference is before the game, because you have no one to have conversations with. Maybe I should create an imaginary friend before the next game. Then we can have a very deep conversation about life before going to set number 2. Oh, there's Frozen. I think those are new glasses. And then there's Moon. So let's talk about winners a little bit, since we don't know too much about them. Moon used to play for Prime Optimus during NLB Spring in 2014, so that's last year. And then he played on Prime Sentinel in the summer season of Champions. And then we have, of course, in the bottom lane, it's going to be Gank0. All eyes on him. His full name on the live server does refer to the bottom kingdom. And then we have Boku in the support role. Very different name from his live server name, which is actually just the name of a singer in Korea. So let's look at how Legos Renekton does against Gnar. I guess that, that will determine a lot, just because Gnar obviously has a lot of impact, just base abilities and base stat wise. In team fights a lot more. And then also, these days what we've noticed a lot is that the Korean casters are talking about how I might get sent to the emergency room if we go all the way through for tiebreakers, because I do have to cast all of these. I think the biggest worry is, if I get sent to the hospital, to the emergency room today, who's going to cast tomorrow's games? Albeit most people are expecting a lot more action from today than tomorrow, but I don't think you can quite write them off just yet. So what we've seen from MSI, or at least my personal opinion from MSI, is that the jungle, once again, showing up as probably the most impactful. And jungle always has been, just because obviously you roam the most. But depending on the meta and depending on the champion pool that fits through the meta, we've seen phases where jungling was a lot more about just farming or whatnot. Oh, a nice hook for Boku. And until now, the trades are really going in IM's favor, but Gank0 tried to turn things around, and I think he flashed for it, and Gank0 flashes out. Roar gets ignited. Boku trying to go for the last hit. He just needs one more, but the exhaust comes through. He still flashes, but with the pot, and he gets it with the hook. Boku gets the first blood. Gank0 picking up the assist on that, and winners turning things around when things actually looks pretty grim. Oh, man. That doesn't feel too good for Roar. I thought he was going to get super safe from that exhaust too. We have Tucson here looking for a counter gank, and there's no flash, there's no summoners. Can he get to the lantern? Gank0! Oh, he jumps on the lantern, but he's still going to get that one last hit in from Ignar, and Ignar evens things out. The assist going to Tucson though instead of Roar, so Roar still a little bit behind, you could say, but just given that what items they want to prioritize, and now they want to prioritize the lane, Gank0 going for double Dorns. Whereas Roar going for that longsword. We'll see how that pays off in lane. Well, this is exciting. I'm glad we have an exciting early game. But hopefully, it's not like this for every game, because then I won't be able to cast tomorrow's games. Well, good to see that Ignar and Tucson seem pretty comfortable with the choices they've made with the team in terms of how the lineup works out. And, Tucson having just a lot of high hopes on him from the fans. Again, people were questioning, right? If you're a support, why does your ID talk about how you love to fight and you love to brawl? And, he used to talk about, I'm going to play Lee Sin support, and that's just the style I play. But it never really fit the support. So I'm actually pretty excited to see him in jungle. Hopefully, this is where he can shine a lot more too. Because when you're on support, it's a lot bigger of a gamble. We've had aggressive supports in the past, but Potato showed up bottom lane, but he's not really going to get much out of that. And Roar has been able to do a lot better in lane once he got back, once both of them took one death to the face. And Roar is another player that, there's some attention on him, but not too much proven. Oh, Roar not communicating too well with Ignar, but you know, there were too many minions, so diving in wouldn't have been the best idea. So Ignar just doing his best zoning and harass. But Roar being talked about as kind of a genius-style player rather than completely effort-based. For instance, we saw at MSI, if you watched it, there was that feature on Westdoor, and his coaches talked about how Westdoor is definitely all about, you know, practice. He built himself up from practice. He built his own foundation. People in Korea wondering if Roar is kind of that different player where he can kind of pick up anything he wants, and he starts with a higher base talent. But at the same time, when you come to the professional level, practice is still what makes perfect. So Roar's going to have to prove himself a little bit more here. Tucson, I mean, he's been doing fine. Nothing crazy from the jungle other than that early gank, but it wasn't too crazy given how the lane worked out at level 1. Well, Moon doing fine, farming against Azir. We might actually just see the mid lane stay quiet. I mean, Azir, Cassiopeia, either one person really commits to being aggressive and we see things like easy and diving. Uh-oh, Ignar goes in, but Potato's here. Gangster is so low, though, he's not going to really be able to turn around and attack because Tucson comes in from behind, gets the kill with the smite. Ignar going to be sacrificed, but can Roar continue to dish out the damage on Potato. Nice play on Tucson. I already love Potato, though. Man, I am jealous of Doa because he gets to talk about potatoes all the time. And Doa's from the Midwest, so how nice of Potato. Well, I guess if they don't make it, Doa won't really be able to talk about it. So for Doa's sake, I think Doa's probably rooting for winners right now. And whoa, Lego going in pretty hard. I mean, this is why Renekton was so strong for a while too, because early on, even despite some balance changes that he went through, early on, Renekton's still really strong. And you'll still see him here and there in solo queue because of that. But Gnar will still do fine as the late game comes. You would hope. And especially for someone like Apple, I think he'll be okay. Going for that Sunfire also. So Tucson having quite a good impact on the game so far as jungle Rek'Sai. You know, he seems quiet until he shows up at the right time. Seems to have really good communication with the rest of his team, especially bottom lane. Winner's taking this moment to go for a relatively early dragon. Nothing too crazy, but no vision from IM. They just got there. Tucson tried to steal with his Q, but Winner's already got it all done and exiting safely. So Winner's basically trying to catch up a little bit with that dragon, and that will help them. It will basically stall the Longzhu snowball a little bit. I'm trying to figure out if, I mean, I guess now we just don't call them IM anymore. We just call them Longzhu. Because we don't call Samsung Galaxy, we just call them Samsung. Just like how we call SKT, and uh-oh, Ignar goes in with the flash, and he knocks Boku back. Boku can't lantern himself out, so he's just going to have to shield him, and with the flash, oh, he still gets culled with the last two shots coming out. Yeah, so Tucson is a lot more aware and active on his jungle routes than Potato. I mean, Potato sure is the one that got the dragon, but his one gank that was successful was basically where he kind of waited for it. Whereas Tucson is coming in, not wasting any time. He comes in right when he needs to pick up a kill or an assist for himself and his teammates. 1-0-2 for the jungler. Meanwhile, super quiet mid lane that we don't even really look at it. Yeah, we're just going to be like, all right, yep, Cassiopeia just farming up. Getting Raptors. Nothing new. Going back down to the bottom lane. Tucson just rapping away, commanding his teammates. Really good to see. Amidst all the talk we've had recently about team communication, how it's so crucial. Good to see Tucson talking a lot in the booth. So Winners, it's their first time playing in the booth also, actually. That's something to note. Because all the Challengers matches have been conducted online, and Ignar goes in once again. Gangster going to take a lot of damage. He does still have an health pot, so he'll try to stick around for a little bit, because otherwise the CS gap is going to extend quite a bit once again. Potato going to run right into Tucson. But the top lane, both of them already started fighting. Lego gets stunned into the wall, but neither team really wants to commit to that given where they are in lane. So Lego will also be going back. He has his teleport, and given that Dragon is already down, he'll most likely return to lane safely. Ignar starting to roam. Ignar and Tucson basically both doing their own Tucson impressions. Makes you really wonder if we'll see Peekaboo this season. Also known for roaming. They're playing really well in support. But right now we're looking at Boku and Gank Zero. Boku in Korean, Boku really means kind of redemption, or, well, I guess redemption is a much deeper word than that. It also kind of means like reformatting when you talk about computers, or saving your files. Backing up, basically. Backing up would be the best term when you talk about computers, so. Hopefully Winners doesn't come to a point where Boku actually has to do that for his team. Not sure what the limits would be on that for Thresh. Tucson once again in bottom lane. Ward this time here, though, in the lane brush and also in river, so he's not going to be completely unspotted. No lantern for him, but Ignar could try to set something up for his teammate. Tucson actually is going to walk by. Ignar doesn't have flash, so nothing too crazy that will separate Boku once again. Now, Winners is also known, I believe, to scrim against foreign teams too. Gank Zero recently had an interview preparing for this promotion tournament, and he talked about how they've had good results in scrims, both against Korean teams and foreign teams. So they seem really eager to want to enter the professional scene, putting in all the efforts they need to. For now, though, Tucson seems to be putting a stop on that for a little bit. Gank Zero also not having his chance yet to shine. Finally, some action being prepared in the mid lane. Maybe not. Most likely not. Frozen just playing safe. No wards right there, but Frozen actually just taking good positioning based on him having a ward on the bottom side. Top lane, still nothing too different. Both of them at similar health levels, as top lane always should be. Now, bottom lane, Gank Zero. Now, he was never known to necessarily, you know, pick up kills or whatnot in lane, just having really solid lane mechanics. This time around, that early aggression from IM, I think, really throwing them off, and also the ganks from Tucson, of course, lots of pressure on that bot lane, because Longzhu IM really recognizing that the strength of Winners lies in their bottom lane. I mean, what do? You target the strongest spot sometimes. I mean, we saw that with Besiktas. They targeted Faker, and they got first blood on him. It didn't translate into a win for them, but I don't think that's because the gank was meaningless. There are some other factors into that. So Gank Zero, Winners and Gank Zero himself are really going to have to wait until they have a chance to group. I mean, they got that first Dragon stack, so if they can make the most out of the second one, which is up in 30 seconds, they could really start trying to turn things around from there and try to snowball Dragon stack leads into team fights and then a tower, which translates into more towers. Longzhu being aware of this, though. Oh, it's so sad to not see IM in front of their names. But good for them for getting a new sponsor. When they were known just as IM, they didn't have a sponsor. So IM was just their team name and it's not a sponsor, because it used to be sponsored by LG in the past, but here they are as long as Tucson gets caught, but Ignar right there for support. Teleport coming in from Apple, which means that we won't, oh, never mind, it's gonna get canceled. A lot of contention over this blue, and oh, Potato gets it with the smite. Ignar having to use his ult, but he gets flayed back. He's going to need some help from his teammates. Tucson only at half health, though, and Ignar going to get pulled back. Once again, his ult is down. Exhaust on Moon. Moon now getting chased by Roar. Nicely Zero trying to zone out the rest of Winners. A Potato all alone. He gets a couple hits on him from Azir, and nice knocker from Tucson. Will make that a 1-1 trade, but here comes a speedy Renekton. And yeah, they're not gonna challenge the fight, because Apple also walking through mid lane. It's going to be a fair fight, and Apple actually has quite a bit of rage available. So he might transform into Mega Gnar. So Winner says, all right, fine, we don't have our jungler. They do. We're just going to give it to them since we got the earlier stack anyway. There's still, you know, the gold gap's starting to happen in favor of Longzhu, though. So Winners they really wanted more out of that fight. But Frozen with an impressive wall, knocking back 3 people and zoning them completely out of the Dragon Pit area, has, I think, really made the difference for that fight for Longzhu. Mid, meanwhile, has been chipped down quite a bit, but let's see here. Potato does get the blue, and then they successfully try to keep Ignar from rejoining with his team. Lego has been teleporting way earlier on, though. Here we go. Ignar gets pulled back once again, and watch Frozen from the bottom of your screen. He goes in and he flashes over. Oh, and Moon actually took the Lantern out. Potato should have... He was trying to zone out Potato, too, but Moon taking the Lantern out left Potato all alone. But in the end, Frozen still achieved what he wanted to, was basically separating winners so that they could focus just on one side of the fight. Very good use. I mean, Azir is so good at fights in general. I mean, we saw quite a few moments from anyone who plays Azir at a professional level. You see highlights of them basically isolating one person, picking them off. We saw Faker bringing them out from the inhibitor walls. We saw Easy Hoon in that last team fight, just going through and carrying them in HQ, in their match against the HQ, in that blue side jungle, isolating them after he dives in, and then with the wall, knocking them back. We see those moments a lot in Baron and Dragon fights, because the jungle entrances, the pit entrances, are where Azir's ult is really going to shine. Alright. Aside from that, now we have some time to chill out and see what's going on. Luden's Echo finished first on Frozen before his Merlinomicon. That will help him really keep up the pressure there. And a dive being prepared in top. And Ignar goes in first so that he can tank the tower with his ultimate Apple backing out just in time. But that means his Mega Gnar is down, so the damage a little bit lacking. Ignar tanking for as long as he can. And then Tucson waiting to tank himself afterwards. But they're not going to be able to finish the fight. Seemed a little overeager for that. Also, the timing on the Mega Gnar just really not working out. So Apple wasn't able to use his ult to extend their CC on Lego. Of course, Lego also had his ult, so he was going to be pretty tanky. But I think if they fought while Mega Gnar was up, it would have been very different. But they were trying to time the minion wave with that. Eventually, they had to dive anyway. So in hindsight, not the best choice. And Boku coming up to help. So Lego did farm that last wave. He's going to miss out part of this one, actually all of it, with Gnar being there, it looks like, and the tower gonna get whittled down quite a bit. But with the cannon minion, though, Lego will come up and he'll pick up some CS, but the tower will go down. Uh-oh, bottom lane, we see Ignar going into Sivir. She does have flash, and the culling gets blocked by all the minions. There's the exhaust, but there's the Lantern. Nice clear roar. Absolutely efficient minion wave. Now with the tower down, and of course after that earlier teleport, Apple having a little bit of a lead. It's not too detrimental, especially once he goes back himself. But he's pressuring that as much as he can now. He doesn't have his teleport. His teleport will be up soon. Mid lane getting pressured a lot with that Luden's Echo from Frozen. But Dragon is up in 2 minutes, so both sides paying a lot of attention to that bottom side. Roar and Gang Zero both are going to want to go home before that fight happens. Tucson challenging Potato to a 1v1. Gets out of the barrel. The explosive cash just in time. But he can't burrow yet. He needs to wait a little bit longer. He's going to have to flash. He tried to wait as long as possible, see if his teammates could maybe turn the fight around, but not going to happen. Lego 7-7 already having used his ultimate. So Dominus down for Renekton, and this mid tower is going to go down. Apple zoning out so that Frozen can push up the minion wave. They'll just tap that. With that tier 1 down and 120 left on Dragon, Longzhu looks to have the advantage in taking positioning for this third Dragon coming up right at 21 minutes. Meanwhile, Roar and Gang Zero both still haven't gone back home. Roar does have a Vampiric Scepter. Gang Zero does not, but he has 2 Doran's Blades. both of them with IE, so Gang Zero trying to pressure as much as he can so that Roar doesn't pick up all of these. Roar's still slightly ahead here. He's going to dodge out of that Boomerang Blade quite well. They pick up the CS that they need to at the tower. 40 seconds left. Mega Gnar just happened, so Apple, it should be back up just in time, or, you know, if he is able to, if he finds his avenue to really build up his meter afterwards, after his exhaust ends. So during that fatigue time, we're going to see Apple go back home. Both top laners still teleport, so that's not the biggest factor here. Vision is there for both teams. But what matters is that Azir can really shove up this mid lane non-stop before the dragon fight. And Moon is low on resources. I mean, that blue buff really helping out, but every time Azir shoves up, Moon will get whittled down a little bit just because of the poke that Frozen can put out with Azir. And Boku trying to get as much vision as he can, not clearing that site ward. And they're not going to have time to yet because Longzhu already starting that dragon, and it's just going to go to Longzhu. Not too exciting. Winners understands that Cassiopeia had to go home. Gang Zero just came back into the mid lane. You weren't really going to have a chance to contest that, so they're just trying to give Lego77 his time to shove at the top lane. He didn't build attack damage, so it's not the quickest one, but with that cannon minion there, it looks like he will get the tower before Apple shows up. So finally trading that tower, and Winners trying to catch up in towers. 2-1. Lego77, is he going to be able to finish it? Yeah, he will. He's actually just going to start the fight. But yeah, Apple's meter will be built up really quick there, so Lego is going to back off. Roar counteracts the tier 1 and bottom. And the gold gap continues to grow just ever so slightly for Longzhu. Winners really needs to fight at one point to make something happen, change the pace of the game, basically. I mean, you have Renekton, you have Gragas, both champions known to want to fight, want to go in as these bruiser types. Then you have Cassiopeia, who I mean, she can shove fine, but her ultimate is obviously the greatest point about Cassiopeia if you can make it happen. I mean, you have so many combo potentials here for Winners, especially with Sivir's ult. I mean, you can do Cassiopeia ult and then Gragas ult to do your own, you know, style of Emperor's Divide. I guess it'd really be more like Explosive Divide with the explosive cast from Gragas. And then you can have Renekton going in and basically wrecking havoc. But basically, Winners not really giving themselves enough of an opportunity to make this happen. Regardless of even Vision, you haven't really seen them make an effort to want to make this happen. They're just kind of playing reactionary League of Legends to Longzhu here. And Longzhu IM, playing the way they want to. I mean, all right, hey, we won our lanes. Our jungler's doing great. We have 2 stacks of dragon over 1, 3 towers to 1. We can, you know, we can just play it slow. We can just play it out to the very end. I mean, you also have Azir, you have Lucian. Like, Longzhu IM's team comp isn't even terrible at team fighting either. I mean, they're pretty great in their own right. But the fact is, they don't need to. They don't need to force fights to win. They can just continue to play the bigger picture here and then win with that one last team fight. And if they lose that one last team fight, they'll be so ahead that at that point, Winners will need 3 of those team fights or 5 of those to really come up with a counter win. Uh-oh, Lego starting the fight against Apple. Oh, but the minion wave comes just in time for Apple to hop away. Can Potato catch up? Dominus is going to end by the time they catch up to that, so Winners just going to have to back off. Basically, I think Winners really needs to stop playing as if the laning phase is simply extended, because it's really not. And if you play this way, where Potato, the only way you can fight is Potato still ganking these lanes that are at tier 2, at some point, Tucson's just going to catch up to him with Ignar, and they're going to win that fight. Or they're going to send Potato home and just dive the tower and take a tier 2. So Winners needs to basically put a lot more focus on one side of the map and have, you know, you could just have Renekton be like, hey, you know what? Oh, wow. Gang Zero barely living, getting away from that culling. used his heal. Neither flash used though from both neither Roar nor Gank Zero. So Winners basically needs to say, hey, Renekton, just do your thing, just farm up, just let us know when Gnar teleports, try to stun him if he does. And while you have this downtime between dragons, try to force a fight somewhere else. I mean, Longzhu is playing the slow game. You can see that they're shoving up, leaving, farming the jungle. Shoving up, leaving, farming the jungle. Clear out the vision on one side of the jungle. Try to get a pick, or try to get a wombo combo of yourselves in that jungle. I mean, the biggest fear here is also Frozen's Azir. It's just been quietly growing, and so has the Cassiopeia, but look at the damage that comes in. And also, if Emperor's Divide goes down first, it's going to be a lot greater impact than Cassiopeia could ever have once the fight actually starts. So I understand that Winners is scared of this, but you can't play scared once you're behind with this kind of fight, or, you know, fighting team comp. I mean, with Sivir's ult, you can also try to catch them off guard, but at this point, Longzhu has so much vision in the jungle on Winner's side that they don't even have a chance. I mean, by the time they clear all of this, the next dragon's going to be up. And I don't think the dragon fight is what you want to do unless you can get Cassiopeia hidden in a brush before the dragon begins. So since the game's come to this at 27 minutes, nearing 27 minutes rather, Winner's probably just going to have to give up this fourth dragon again, but that it just doesn't feel good, right? You're already in this catch-22 where you're like, well, we need to fight at dragon to win, but we need to be winning to fight at this dragon at this time. So Winners basically, they have to take a gamble one way or the other. And nice red onto Gank Zero. They're trying to jump onto Apple, but they don't even whittle him down too much. His Sunfire activates the Baron, though, so he takes a lot of damage. Flashes away. Potatoes, Explosive Cask a little bit late, but there's a Lantern to play, and the ultimate from Thresh onto Apple. Apple not going to get away. Boku gets the kill, but this is what Winners needed. Apple making a crucial mistake, hopping over Baron and actually thinking he can just go home. He started backing for 1 second before Baron attacked him because of his Sunfire. I believe he doesn't have the finished Sunfire yet, though, so I'm going to have to stand corrected on that. But the point is, Winners got that kill, but they weren't able to translate it into getting vision and positioning here on Dragon. Gnar's still down for 15 seconds, but he does have teleport. He is going to have to build up his meter, though, in order to transform into Mega Gnar. Potato takes a bunch of damage from Frozen's Azir, and that means Winners will 99% have to give out this Dragon. That's sad. I mean, the only chance they would have had to take the Dragon is they went right for it and they had a shot at getting it. But Longzhu actually positioned themselves really well in order to cut them off, and they basically stood in mid lane and said, hey, if you want to go to Dragon, you want to fight us first, even if it's 4v5, we have this Azir who's just going to push you guys back. So well played by Longzhu there. They still got that fourth Dragon, putting them at 3 stacks, and that really starts, you really start feeling the difference there. I mean, sure, the power spike with that first stack and whatnot makes a big difference, but once you get that movement speed, I mean, why do we talk about things like mobility creep? Because movement speed and just mobility matters so much in a game like League of Legends. And this edge means a lot, especially against a team with Sivir, because it counteracts a lot of her advantages for the team with Sivir. At this point, Winner's best chance for winning a fight is a miraculous explosive cask from Potato, and that's a lot of pressure on this guy. He's had a rough time since the beginning because Tucson just being one step ahead of him in all senses of jungling. I mean, sure, you can make something happen similarly as last time with Boku. Excuse me, my nose is runny. I have a little bit of cold post MSI. But anyway, you could make something happen like Boku did last time. But you saw what happened. They got a kill, but you couldn't translate that into... You can transition that into a bigger lead. And just to... Yeah, so only Bami Cinder here for Apple's Gnar. Not the whole Sunfire yet. Gnar getting caught out, he uses his ultimate, and here comes the Culling. Moon actually having to dodge away, and he gets knocked up, pushed back, and he can't use, finally uses his ultimate. Roar does get stunned, but he's still alive. Attention on Roar. Azir's Emperor's Divide comes in and knocks him back with massive damage. Azir just cleaning up this fight. Winners 2 down, Moon at a quarter health. Tucson really low, though. I don't think he really wants to dive this. Apple does, though. Full health along with Alistair. Frozen goes in and gets another kill. An extended triple for Frozen. 4 assists on that last one. What a fight by Longzhu IM. Winners, I mean, whoa. Don't, no. Frozen. Almost died there. 3-0-2 for now. 2-0-6 for Tucson's Rek'Sai. Look at this. I mean, nice catch on Ignar. You got a lot of burst on him before his ultimate happened, and even afterwards, you got a lot of damage, but Ignar just goes in and says, no, Moon, you are done. He turns around, gets a stun onto Roar, but Frozen jumps in, and then look at this. Gnar ult pushes them back into Emperor's Divide. Emperor's Divide connects to 3 people, puts down the damage. They get an instant double kill. Tucson picks up the kill on Thresh, and then, of course, they dove Cassiopeia. What a crazy fight from Longzhu. I mean, the biggest thing here was you can't burst down an Alistar once he ults. I mean, sure, you got a lot of damage on him before, and if it was just Lucian there, you might have wanted to make something happen. But even then, Alistar flashing in and disrupting Moon's damage. So aside from delaying the ult, you also just lose out on a lot of damage because you can Twin Fangs non-stop as long as you don't get interrupted. So unfortunately, Ignar was really eager to make that happen. Wow, Gank 0 almost dies to Frozen. I mean, this is what Azir does once he gets 3 to 4 items. Azir's core build is pretty much finished, and his Sand Soldiers will wreck you before you even have a chance to respond. Winners is still playing really reactionary League of Legends, and it's what we see a lot. So I know it's something we've all heard and said ourselves multiple times when we watch. Wow, I mean, look at this. 1 dash and then 2 autos from the Sand Soldiers, and Potato is down to 1/3 health. But it's what we see when we see a lot of amateur teams come into promotions, and then even once they make it into the regular season, is that once you start losing, they're just tied to playing reactionary League of Legends for the rest of the game. And, I mean, it sounds sensible, right? It's like, okay, well, we're behind. We have to react. Longzhu is all spotted. So, they're just hanging out. But Winners, I mean, what are they going to do? The most that happens is that Baron is simply not being taken. So, but my point is, I mean, Monty talked about this, right? Is that Zion Spartan was like, hey, how does SKT always manage to win from behind? Like, they always come back. And Monty joked, he was like, well, it's because they're good. This is what good teams do. And sure, you can talk about how, you know, it was funny and whatnot, but that is the fact, is that strong teams come back when they're behind, or at the very least, they understand that they need to, and you'll see them making a run for it. So we see this with teams that, even if they don't end up winning the match, it's that generally teams that you know to have been strong will always try to make a shot for it. They'll go for that team fight. And it's not like, I'm not talking about, all right, 40 minutes in, we're so behind that we basically need to miraculously ace them. I mean, sure, that's great too. But before that happens, it's like, all right, is it worth contesting this dragon? Probably not. We're probably going to lose a team fight anyway. All right, so let's trade it for a tower. Or, hey, they're taking the tower. Let's take a different one. Basically, you have to have these moments where you understand that you can't respond to the tempo that the winning team puts down, and you have to create your own standards and trades. You basically have to say, all right, they want to keep pushing their snowball, so instead of just responding to the snowball rolling down and us trying to hold it back with our hands, we're going to start rolling our snowball, even if it's so tiny, on the other side of the hill. And right now what we're seeing is that Winners is not able to find that window of opportunity. Not to say it's easy. I mean, much easier said than done. But that is what you need to come back. Thankfully, the minion should be. Oh my goodness, Boku. Oh, he still flashes over. He wants to start that fight because they saw Tucson down bottom. Culling comes in. Apple goes really low, though. He has to flash out of the fight, and Moon putting down a lot of damage onto Ignar. Potato also needs to back out, but Moon and Gang Zero are full health, but Azir, look at that positioning from Frozen. He already used his Emperor's Divide, and Potato gonna go down to the red buff. And Frozen flashes forward. Moon turns around, but what is he gonna do after he stuns them? He's just gonna get bursted down by 2 Sand Soldiers. Frozen still chasing as Apple comes back with full health and a teleport. Longzhu cleans up the fight once again. Great positioning from Frozen, understands that. Once both sides are kind of trying to see if they can get another hit in, you just have to stand behind that wall with the Sand Soldiers, and Longzhu can safely do this Baron with only Renekton up. You see a ping on Lego, it's like, don't do it. Don't do it, Lego. I mean, you're not going to have a chance to anyway. Yeah. So watch this fight. I mean, Boku gets hit a lot, but they're like, hey, but Tucson's down bottom. Let's start the fight. Lego goes in. Gangster from behind. There's the Emperor's Divide, and Frozen is behind this wall the whole time as Sand Soldiers just wrecking Potato. Roar chases out Lego. Gangster goes a little too far. And watch this, Potato, I'm not sure exactly who he was chasing. He tries to go for the explosive cast onto Roar. Doesn't hit. Roar dodges the Boomerang Blade. Also, Frozen flashes forward. And Moon, I mean, that was a good ult, but no follow-up, but also just insta-give by Azir. And meanwhile, in mid, we see Moon getting caught again. Nice QSS from Roar. Or it might have been Mikhail's. It looks like it might have been Mikhail's. And then we're just going to see Longzhu shove through. Frozen doing really well, and Ignar playing really well. Ignar just 1, 2, and 10. I mean, he's initiated practically every important fight for Longzhu here. Part of 11 kills out of 13 for his team. And oh, Potato gets wrecked by Ignar once again. Lots of damage coming in from Roar. Tucson basically gets stopped by the hook, but it doesn't mean too much aside from that. And Longzhu now, with that massive wave at bottom, they are looking to shove that one up. Oh wow, 4 cannon minions with that Baron buff. You're not stopping that wave. Lego knows he has to. You have to basically make something happen. He goes in, but Ignar shoves Gangster back, knocks Lego up, and we see the tower go down. Tucson going in deep. Boku gets knocked up. Tucson backing back out as Apple turns into Meganar. Look at that Roar, full health, just chasing through, dashing in, gets the kill onto Cassiopeia. And that should be game in favor of Longzhu here. Wow. Sand Soldier's MVP. Roar challenging Gang Zero to a fight, even with Spell Shield. Roar doing so much damage. There's the Emperor's Divide, basically, to keep them out, and Boku gets killed right as he tries to enter Fountain. Frozen is still alive, and there's the GG. Longzhu takes the win in set number 1. IM looking really good in their first game. And meanwhile, winners looking basically a little bit quiet after that first game. I mean, they had a splash in the semi-professional amateur scene here in Korea, but they got handled by Tucson and Ignar in the early phases of the game, and then Frozen, I mean, everyone else doing really well as the game was set up in mid-game. Congratulations to Longzhu IM, though. They are in the lead, but doesn't mean much. Still many games for all the players still left. Of course, it is a best of 3, so Longzhu